Hello Dogs fans, welcome to another episode of After the Dogs Roar for the season of 2017. Let's not waste any time, let's get stuck into having a look at the episode agenda for this week's episode. I'm going to start the show by having a look back at our AFL Round 16 clash against the Adelaide Crows, which took place on Friday night away from home at the Adelaide Oval. Following that is my Round 16 votes for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award, and then following that is a look at where we stand on the AFL ladder. Then following that is an overview of our VFL Round 12 clash v Sandringham, and then we're going to have a look at where we stand on the VFL ladder. Following that is a preview of our VFL Round 13 clash v Geelong, which is taking place this weekend, and then a look at our important AFL Round 17 clash v Carlton at the MCG. Looking forward to previewing that game. And then to finish off the show is the fan favourite segment. It is the 5 fan questions. Really love this segment. Looking forward to diving into the best 5 questions asked by you, the Western Bulldog members, supporters and fans. So let's not waste any time. Let's get stuck in to the show, starting with an overview of our AFL Round 16 clash v the Adelaide Crows. So of course on Friday night we're up against the Adelaide Crows at the Adelaide Oval. We were coming into this game without an interstate win in 2017, and of course coming off a loss against the West Coast Eagles in round 15 at Etihad Stadium. A very important game for us, this one. It was probably important that we won this game. We did start off quite well, I thought, in the first quarter. It took us a while to kick our first goal of the game after a few inside 50s. Of course, the Adelaide Crows did kick the first goal, but we were able to kick our first through Matthew Suckling, and we actually trailed we actually led by 2 points at quarter time in what was a pretty pleasing first quarter, I must be said. We played to the conditions well, and I thought we started off quite promisingly. The score at quarter time, 2-4-16 to the Adelaide Crows, 2-2-14. As I mentioned, a 2 point lead at quarter time. The second quarter was interesting. A lot of inside 50s that probably didn't go our way. We didn't get a lot out of those inside 50s. But we were only trailing by 3 points at half time. So overall, a good first half, I thought, with the Crows leading 5-5-35 to the Dogs 4-8-32. The second half, however, the first half effort really went to waste because the second half was quite poor. We only kicked a few behinds, in fact 3 behinds in the third quarter, and we were kept goalless, and the Crows just piled on goals. They piled on 7 goals and led at 3/4 time, 12-5-77 to us, 4-11-35. We only kicked 1 goal in the second half, and it's fair to say it was a disappointing second half, and overall a disappointing game. The Crows, to be honest, thumped us at their home ground of the Adelaide Oval, the final score being 16-8, 104. The Adelaide Crows defeated the Western Bulldogs 5-15-45. As I said, we only kicked 1 goal in the second quarter. Second half, sorry. That is just completely not good enough. And what can I say? It was a really poor game. And if you saw Luke Beveridge's press conference after the game, he was quite stunned, and he was quite strong about the performance, describing it as the worst he's seen in his time, and that is strong words, because I thought the game against Melbourne was actually even worse. But this is definitely up there no question about that. It's one of the worst this year. And of course, we are still yet to win interstate this year, which is just not good at all. Let's have a look at the goal kickers. Not many goal kickers. No multiple goal kickers for us. Stringer, Redpath, Suckling, Dale House all getting singles. And then only 3 best players named, and rightly so, because these 3 were the only 3 best on the ground, although the whole team has got to be accountable for a loss like this. McLean, Bond and Pelly Hunter all getting in the best players, and just under 42,000 attended this game at the Adelaide Oval. No injuries to report, which is very, very pleasing. But let's go through the positives and negatives from this game. I only have a couple of positives. It's all negatives, really. I don't mean to be negative, but there's not really much positivity coming out of this game. I thought we had a fantastic first half, and that was a positive. We played to the conditions well and kept ourselves in the game and kept it close, which I thought was very pleasing. Of course, we couldn't do that in the second half, though, which obviously makes the first half go to waste, and our effort in the first half go to waste. We had lots of inside 50s, which I thought was a positive, but that's going to become a negative very, very shortly. So let's get on to the negatives. Look, I thought Jenkins caned us in this game. He was left alone far too often in this game. And it was really hard to tell who was playing on him. Was it Roberts? Was it Cordy? Who was even playing on the guy? He was... how many did he kick? He kicked quite a few. He kicked 4 in the end. And, I was a bit worried about this because I know our defence has been struggling of late. And, well, it's exactly what happened. So many forward inside 50 entries in this game, especially in the first half, and we just got no goals from it, which is just not good at all. It just kind of describes our our structure inside the forward line and our structure when we deliver the ball inside 50 and our delivery. It's just not good enough at all. We only had 5 goals from 57 inside 50s. In fact, we won the inside 50s in this game, 57 to the Crows 54, and yet we only got 5 goals and 15 behinds in this game. That's completely not good enough at all. Our vision to hit targets inside 50 was pretty poor. We bombed it inside 50 so many times and it just didn't work. It just came straight back out. The Crows marked it inside our forward 50 quite a lot. In fact, I'd like to see the statistic on how many times the Crows actually marked it in our forward 50. They marked it so many times in our forward 50, it wasn't funny at all. And like I said before, just sums up our forward line and of course our delivery inside the forward line. Only kicked 1 goal in the second half. That's poor, and of course had more behinds than goals. You all know what I think about that. More behinds than goals. It's just not good enough at all in a game of footy if you want to win the game. So look, the only areas we won were contested possessions, clearances, and we won inside 50s, as I mentioned, 57 inside 50, so that sums it up. We got it inside 50 so many times, yet it's been a trend all year, hasn't it? We haven't been able to be efficient inside 50, and that hasn't been pleasing at all. So, look, I've been very hopeful over the last few weeks, especially every episode, that we could make the finals still even after the Sydney and the Melbourne loss. I'm at the point now where I'm putting a bit of an expert cap on here and saying I don't think we can make the finals now. I'm not trying to not be a true supporter or anything by saying that. It's just I think it's fact. The way we're playing, you can't go through our fixture, our remaining games, and say that we're definitely going to win this game and that game. You cannot go through our fixture. Carlton next week won't be easy. I think we've got Gold Coast the week after that. We haven't got a great interstate record, even though it's our home game away from home. We're still going interstate, and we can't be sure that we're going to win that game. And we've got teams such as Essendon and Port Adelaide and Hawthorn who are, in good form at the moment. And of course, we've got the Giants as well coming up. You can't go into every game now and expect us to win because we're not playing our best footy to be in that position. So, look, I don't think we'll make the top 8 now. Of course, we can if we win every single game from here. But I think the way we're playing is not good enough for top 8. And, Beveridge summed it up well in his press conference, didn't he? His words, and it would have been interesting to be in the be in the change rooms, be in the rooms after the game to hear what he had to say to the players, because I'm sure he would have given he would have given a lot of words to the players after that loss, because that was a horrible loss. So look, in my opinion, I don't think we can make the finals now. Of course we can, but I don't think we will. That's not to say we won't make finals next year or the year after. I think I'm hoping that this is only a 1-year occurrence and that we make the finals like, you know, Hawthorn did. But yeah, we haven't played the best of footy this year. Our skills have been terrible. Our forward entries have been just not good, and our defence has been quite horrible as well. So yeah, a poor game, poor result, but let's move on to the votes. So let's get straight into my votes for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award. I've given 1 vote to Marcus Bontempelli. I thought he was pretty good in the first half. Probably didn't have the best second half, but and if he did, I probably would have given him the 3 votes. But he probably didn't play all 4 quarters. But I thought he played well enough to get at least 1 vote. So he had 24 disposals, 9 handballs, 15 kicks. He kicked 2 behinds, probably should have kicked a goal to be honest, but yeah, I've given him 1 vote. I've given 2 votes to Jack Macrae. I thought he was pretty good in this game. 27 disposals, 16 handballs, 11 kicks. He made 7 tackles. I thought he was pretty good in this game, so he deserves the 2 votes for me. And then the 3 votes goes to Toby McLean. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. 8 tackles, 32 disposals, which I think was definitely the most out of any Dogs player on the field. And of course 17 handballs, 15 kicks. He took 4 marks. He was quite lively in this game, so he gets the 3 votes for me. He was best on ground from a Western Bulldogs point of view. So on now to having a look at how that affects the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award. So Marcus Bontempelli still leads the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award. He leads on 14 votes. Caleb Daniel is second on 12 votes. Jack Macrae has moved into third with 11 votes. We then have joint 4th, Luke Dalehouse, Lockie Hunter on 9 votes. Joint 6 is Jason Johannesson and Toby McLean on 5 votes. By the way, Jason Johannesson re-signing for 5 years. Absolutely great news from a Western Bulldogs point of view. Joint 8th is Ling Jong and Jake Stringer on 4 votes each, and then joint 10th on 3 votes each is Mitch Wallace, Tom Liberatore, Zane Cordy and Jack Redpath. Joint 14th is Liam Pickett, Bailey Dale and Tom Campbell on 1 vote each. So that is the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award. And time now to have a look at where we stand on the AFL ladder after round 16. We've fallen down to 11th place. We are on 7 wins, 8 losses. We're on 28 points. We're joint with Essendon and also Fremantle. Both those teams winning on the week. And in fact, we have actually, if you go through, there was a statistic or a fact on Talking Footy on Monday night about our percentage between the bye and to now. We actually have the worst percentage out of any team. So that just describes our lack of scoring in games this year, and in particular since the bye. But going back to the ladder, we've got Carlton coming up, who are 16th place. We're not going into that game as strong favourites, there's no doubt about that. Carlton have been playing some good footy this year, and we'll talk about that very shortly. The Gold Coast Suns we have next. They're currently sitting on 14th place. We then have Essendon, who of course we're level with on points, but they have a better percentage than us. We then have Brisbane Lions at the Gabba, who are last. GWS, who are in the top 4 in second, and then we have Port Adelaide, who are in the top 4, and then Hawthorn, who are 13th. So we have a tough run home, there's no question about that. We do have some bottom sides, but you can't be sure that we're actually going to win those games the way we're going at the moment and the way we're playing. So yeah, look, not great scenes. We're sitting in 11th place. And I guess the sad thing about it is that I actually thought we played some good footy in the first half of the season. It's just been since the bye this has kind of started to happen, and we've started to fade off a little bit. So, like I said, in my opinion, I don't think we can make the finals this year. I think we'll miss out on the top 8. But of course we can still make the top 8 from here, but we have to really dive deep and win every single game from here, and that is going to be a tough challenge considering the way we're playing in 2017 and at this stage of the season. Time now to get stuck into having a look back at our VFL Round 12 clash, which took place on Sunday at Trevor Barker Beach Oval away from home. against Sandringham, and this was a very good game from our VFL side. We led at every change. We led at quarter time 38-14. We led at half time 61-53. That was probably the closest it got. We were 84-57 at three-quarter time, and then in the end we won pretty convincingly. The final score being Sandringham 10-11-71, defeated by our Footscray Bulldogs 18-12-120. Some very pleasing signs from some of our senior players in this game. Travis Cloak returned, kicked 3 goals. He was quite outstanding in this game. Good return from him and pleasing signs. Tory Dixon, who was actually dropped for Clay Smith, was in this game and kicked 3 goals. Broon, Hayes kicked 2 each. Webb, Malenga, Mahue, Williams, Hamilton, Nash, Goodyear, Pruden, and also Lynch kicked singles in this game. Lynch... interesting player, because I know a lot of people have been pushing to see him debut and play in the seniors side at some point this season. So he could be in selection discussions this week. Who knows? But the best players: Williams, Nash, Cloak, Young, Hayes, and Lapinksi. You'd have to think that maybe Cloak is in selection talks for this week. It could be a possibility that he comes back into the senior side for the game against Carlton on Sunday. So, yeah, a good win for our VFL side. No Collins in the best players or anything, so that's interesting. I know I was pushing heavily to have him in the side for the Crows game. Didn't end up getting selected. Could he get selected this week? I'd like to see him in the side, because I think he'd provide some really good, I guess, tallness up in our defence, and maybe some strength as well, which is something we probably don't have through Roberts and Cordy. But anyway, let's get straight into having a look at how this win has affected our position on the VFL ladder. So we still sit in the top 4 of the VFL. We're on 4th place, and we are on 28 points. We are level with Richmond and Werribee. Of course, we have a better percentage than those two teams, and we have Geelong coming up, who are on 10th place. So we're going pretty nicely in the VFL so far. Let's hope that keeps going. And our next VFL game, our round 13 clash, is taking place on Saturday, the 15th of July. It's a Saturday night game at 7 p.m. at Simmons Stadium. It's against Geelong, who, as I mentioned before, are 10th on the ladder at this present stage. And I'm sure there'll be a few people who will travel to Geelong to see our Footscray Bulldogs in action against Geelong on Saturday night. Of course, this game is, of course, the night before our AFL round 17 clash, which I'll get into in just a couple of moments. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how this pans out. Footscray Bulldogs v Geelong. It is Saturday, the 15th of July, 7 p.m. at Simmons Stadium. Looking forward to it. And our next AFL clash is on Sunday. It is a massive game. It's against Carlton at the MCG, where we won the flag last year. And it's on Sunday the 16th of July, starting at 3:20 p.m. You can watch all the action on 7 and Fox Sports 3. I mentioned before about Luke Beveridge's press conference. It was unbelievable, some of the... well, not unbelievable, but believable, but it was quite interesting to see his reaction to the loss on Friday night. He was quite devastated himself, and he did say that he spoke to the players after the game. Would have been interesting to see what he and hear what he actually said in the rooms after that game, and whether his influence and actions and his call to arms to try and really regroup this side ready for a game like this. That's a must win, because if we lose this, I think our final chances are 100% done. But you know, if we win this, it keeps it alive. And look, I'm expecting a reaction this Sunday. I'm expecting our Western Bulldogs side to come out firing. I'm expecting them to really make a big statement. And I hope they do, even though I think that they won't make the finals this year after the loss on Friday night. Of course, we can still make the finals, but we have to win every game from here, basically. And we need to start with this one. We need to start with a big result against Carlton, who have been playing some good footy this year. Patrick Cripps is out injured for the rest of the season. That will help us. That will play in our favour, but it's going to be a tough game. They were very good on Sunday against Melbourne. Probably could have won the game, but they didn't. And yeah, it's going to be a tough game at the MCG. So 3:20 p.m. at the MCG on Sunday 16th of July. 7 and Fox Sports 3 is where you can watch it if you're not going to the game. But please do get along and try and support our club right to the finish. We aren't out of the finals just yet. Our final chances are still alive. Even though I don't think we are worthy of the top 8 this season, we can still make it. This is a must-win game. Looking forward to seeing how this pans out. Let's hope we get a win. Ivan and Matt Button asks similar questions. In fact, the same questions. Ivan asked, "Do you think we will make finals?" And Matt asked, "Be 100% honest. Do you truly believe we can make the finals? If so, what do we need to do from here?" Like I said before, I don't think we can make the top 8. I've been a real big believer the last few weeks that we can actually still make the finals, even after those big losses to Swans and Melbourne. But I think Friday night was the final straw for me, and I think I'm not trying to be a negative person or anything. I'm just trying to face the facts here. We aren't playing footy that is going to actually put us into the top 8, and we haven't been scoring well. Our defence has been lacking. Our deliveries inside 50 have been quite poor. Our efficiency inside 50 has been pretty poor as well. And all those factors, I think, will lead to us not making the top 8 this year. And I'm at that stage now where I don't think we can make the top 8. I think, obviously we can still make it mathematically, but yeah, I don't think we'll make the top 8 this year. And look, I'm okay with that because I'm hopeful that we can build on in the pre-season and then build on to next season, and get back to possibly the form of 2016, if not better. And that's not to say that this year is a waste, and that's not to say that we should just drop the gun and just play out the rest of the season as it comes. The team still should be trying their best to make the finals. But yeah, I don't think we can make the finals. No, that's my opinion, and that's where I'm at now with how we're going so far. Tom asks, are young players like Hamilton, Young, Lipinski and Lynch going to be expected to debut this season? Look, I think possibly one or two could debut in the last few rounds. Lipinski actually got in the best players, and Lynch kicked a goal, and he seems to be going along nicely in the VFL side, and I know a lot of people have been pushing to get him into the senior side by the season ends. So I think Lipinski and Lynch could be with a chance. We aren't in a stage where we need to rebuild or anything like that. We still have a good team. We're just not playing the brand of footy that got us to where we got to last year, and that's where we need to kind of change, I guess. But like I said, our defence is lacking at the moment, and I think with Lynch up there, and possibly putting him in the forward line as well, he could provide some really good form for the Dogs. Lipinski seems like a promising player as well. I'm sure Hamilton is in the mix as well. So I think maybe one or two of those young players might debut in the next few rounds, especially if we keep going the way we're going. Red WB asks, how do we tackle mental health in footy? A very interesting question. Probably not one that I can really answer quite well because I've never really thought about mental health or really experienced someone with a mental health issue. But I think in footy, I think the best thing we can possibly do is show club support. I'm sure all clubs now have staff that can help players who get in this position, and I think that's probably the best way to tackle it, really, with the professionals helping. And also us as a footy community really respecting and supporting these players such as Travis Cloke and Tom Boyd, who are really going through a hard time. Footy is not all fun and games as it makes itself out to be. There is a serious and tough aspect that can actually get players down. Players get under pressure. They get and they get down from that. The media these days is quite, it's bigger than what it used to be. Now with the new media and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and so forth, mental health can really, affect anyone in the footy community. So the best way to tackle it is just having the best possible staff at the club to help, and just, the club getting around the certain players and just supporting them and yeah, showing their support and showing their, I guess, gratitude and help if those the players who are suffering need it. So that. I'm not sure if that's a very good answer, because I'm not really an expert when it comes to this sort of thing, but it's the best I can provide. Matty Lyons asks, as we are struggling to score goals, yes, I do agree with that, Matty. Do we bring in proven goal kickers Tory Dixon and Travis Cloke? Well, Tory Dixon, of course, dropped for the game against the Crows and responded very well in the VFL on Sunday, kicked 3 goals, and he will no doubt be in selection talks to come back into the side to take on Carlton this Sunday. Travis Cloke has been out for a while, came back through the VFL on Sunday, kicked 3 goals. He seemed to have a good game, and you'd have to think both of those players are in the discussions. You know, our forward structure wasn't very good on Friday night, but I'm also looking at it from a delivery point of view as well, because even though I thought our forward structure was quite poor, our deliveries inside 50 were quite unacceptable as well. I think that's what let us down in the end, and our efficiency, and why we got so many inside 50s that, you know, there were no scores to come out of them. It was because we were bombing it inside 50, and a Crows, an opposition player, would mark it every single time. That's exactly what happened every single time, and what was happening quite a lot of. How do you expect Jack Redpath or players like that, key forwards, to mark those balls when you're just bombing it inside 50 without a vision to target? So, look, I think Tory Dixon and Travis Cloke, you know, could be a possibility to come back in this week, but why bring those players in if we're not going to have the vision of hitting targets? Now, I do agree that the forwards need to make a lead, and that's probably why, that was probably a reason why they just bombed it inside 50. But seriously, if you're going to bomb it inside 50, you might as well not have a forward line, because every time it happened on Friday night, an opposition player would mark it, and it's just unacceptable. So, yeah, like I said, Tory Dixon, Travis Cloke, I'm sure they'll be in discussions. Not sure if they'll come back in this week. You know, Tory Dixon's responded very well to his dropping last week, and Travis Cloke seemed to come back through the VFL nicely. And yeah, I think we just need to get our forward structure right, our leading, our hitting targets right, and our vision inside 50 to actually hit targets, because that was woeful on Friday night. Natalie asks, do the coaches need to consider their game plan and strategic changes implemented in 2017? I think so. I think I'm not even sure what our game plan is anymore, to be honest. Compared to last year, where we were handballing it quite a bit and moving the ball quite fastly, this year we seem to move the ball quite slower. Like I said, hitting, you know, not having any vision to hit targets inside 50. And yeah, not moving the ball fast enough, and that's what we pride ourselves on last year, and that's what won us the flag. And I don't know why we're not doing that this year. I thought actually we did it quite well in the first half. I thought we were moving it quite well in the first half, but the second half we just were slowed right down and just had, you know, no efficiency inside 50. So I think they do. I think there needs to be a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. There needs to be something that needs to change. There needs to be, Luke Beveridge needs to get his head around, okay, our current game plan isn't working. What do I need to do to try and, you know, we're not kicking goals through our current game plan at the moment. So we need to change the game plan so we can kick goals, kick more score, get a better percentage, and win ourselves games, and that's what needs to happen. So yeah, I think so, Natalie. I think the coaches do need to reconsider their game plan, and of course it's not just the coaches here; it is the players as well. They're playing quite poorly, but then again, what is the game plan at the moment? Can anyone tell me? I can't. And that is it for episode 24 of After the Dogs Roar. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, share this video, and also subscribe to get a new episode of this every single week. So I look forward to next week's episode. I hope that I'm talking about a win against Carlton. I really hope the boys make a statement and bounce back after that horrible loss on Friday night. We haven't had a good run since the bye. We've been pretty poor. We've only won 1 out of our last 5 games, which is quite disappointing. Like I said, I don't think we can make the top 8 now, but of course there is some hope, and I do hope they prove me wrong. So once again, thank you very much everyone for watching, and until next time, go Dogs. Bye for now.